So I'm going to be talking about Gen Y in terms of a consumer group, okay, over here. What I'm going to show you is research from our, we've done surveys of both consumers, Vietnamese consumers, and Vietnamese property agents, and it was really amazing what we found, particularly related to Gen Y. So I'm going to share some of that information with you today. So, first of all, about MuaBanNhan, I'd like a show of hands. How many Vietnamese women are in the audience? If you are a Vietnamese woman, raise your hand, please. Vietnamese women. Any Vietnamese woman in the audience? Okay, a lot of you. So, first of all, you are our customer, if you're a Vietnamese woman, so thank you. If you're a Vietnamese man, can I see if you're a Vietnamese man, raise your hand? Okay, some of you are our customers as well, in terms of who we are. Ringier, we've been in Vietnam a long time. Most people know us by our brands, such as L, which is our flagship brand, Women's Health, Merry Wedding, Merry Baby, Pepidin, and MuaBanNhan. So that's who we are. And for MuaBanNhan, what we do is basically 1.5 to 2 million Vietnamese consumers come to our website every month looking to buy, sell, and rent property. That's what we do. And our customers are primarily property developers who are building property, property agents, banks, and other companies who want to create marketing campaigns to get at you, particularly Vietnamese women and Vietnamese men. So that's what we do. So, in terms of our research, we found an astonishing trend in Q4, and that was this. 74% of the property agents that responded to our surveys said that right now the demand for property is primarily 2 billion dong and under. 2 billion dong and under. And that was pretty amazing to us, because what that means is the market demand in Vietnam has changed dramatically from a few years ago to where property that was much more expensive was what was primarily being sold. But now property, particularly new property, is in the lower cost segment. And that directly relates to Gen Y, because this is where Gen Y buys. Gen Y, for first-time home buyers, can't afford this. They can afford this, and most property agents are selling to Gen Y at this time. So that was really amazing and really started us looking at what's going on. So, first of all, who are they? We've already talked about with our other speakers kind of the definition of Gen Y. I'm also going to do that. Gen Ys are also called millennials. And generally speaking, the general trend is born in the early 80s to year 2000. So that means they're anywhere from 15 to 35 years old. But the segment of first-time home buyers is primarily this sweet spot, 26 to 33. So how many of you are 26 to 33 in the audience? If you raise your hands. This presentation is about you and how to get to you, related to buying property. So here you are, and this is what is known about you. It's a little bit of similarities to some of our previous information, maybe a little bit of a different twist related to property. So you are typically a first-time home buyer. You either live with your parents now or you're renting, and you aspire to buy your first home. You live and breathe with the internet, as we've heard. Phil had some very good statistics. Internet is you. You read blogs, and most interestingly, you follow strangers' advice. This marks your generation. You will read something on the internet, and it's good or bad, and you will accept it as the truth. You open emails every day. More importantly, as Phil noted, you check Facebook every hour or more. So that's you as a demographic. And you also, as was pointed out, you share information like no other group. You immediately find something, it's good, you share it. You find something that's bad, you also tell people. And that's very important when you're a property developer or a bank trying to get information to you. Because if they don't do a good job, you're going to tell people about it. So we educate our customers that this is very important. You've got to get it right. You've got to offer quality. Don't screw it up on social media. So, how do you find your dream home? Not surprisingly, in our survey, 69% use Google. All right, not surprising. Horizontal website, you first put something into Google. But interestingly, almost as much, you will go to a dedicated real estate site, which is called a vertical. Google is great for everything from buying shoes to handbags to whatever, but it doesn't have a lot of detail about real estate. But a real estate classified website does, like, for instance, MuaBanNhan. So, that is the channel. If a property developer or a bank or another company wants to get at you, they have to focus on online channels versus traditional. Okay, so in terms of devices, again, there'll be some similarities of what our data found in terms of people using our website. 95% you have or use a laptop, 54% a smartphone, 27% a tablet. So what does that mean? Well, the interesting detail of that is actually that, I'd like to point out the second one, that 26% of our users are actually using a smartphone when they are at a property. They're actually at the property, or you're checking out an apartment and you're going on your smartphone and maybe looking for a review or information. Is this really good or really not? That is so important for us to educate property developers that, hey, you know, you've got to pay attention to this. Your buyer will actually maybe come visit you and be checking you out on social media or Google at the same time. That was a really interesting fact that was surprising to us. So, for people looking to get at you related to property, they better have a smartphone and a tablet advertising strategy to get more buyers. If they don't, they will get less buyers. And that's our message to our business clients. So, now this one is interesting. This was not expected, but this is exactly the same information as Phil presented, but strangely enough, I didn't get it from your report. Okay, it was another report. I don't know, maybe they copied it. But so, same information here. It's called More Vietnam Digital Landscape. They have this chart. So you'll have to figure that one out. But the point was here, in terms of Gen Y, yes, as Phil said, 8 hours. 8 hours on devices a day is astounding. And Vietnamese, typically, than the global standard, less time on TV, which is significant for property developers, because that's the traditional way they advertise, and much more time, about 60% more than the global average on laptops, and a hell of a lot of time on smartphones. So again, in terms of advertising property, if property sellers and developers are spending a lot of money and time on TV, they're wasting their time. They really need to be online, particularly content that's set up for a smartphone. So the traditional way to sell property to people like me, baby boomers, or even Gen X, is through TV advertising. See a big ad, a property ad, or most likely newspapers. This does not work. This is totally a waste of time. If the property developer is interested in first-time buyers like you that raised your hand, it's a complete waste of time and money. It's Facebook and YouTube, meaning video. So Vietnamese first-time buyers spend a hell of a lot of time on video. You've also got to advertise via video, which is something that is not traditional for property sellers. So that's what we're educating our clients about. So, to end, because Gen Ys have very short attention spans, and I only have 15 minutes, and I have a 1-minute video, so I'm going to end very quickly with 10 keys, because this is also how you sell to Gen Ys. They want to know what's the top tip, what's the top 3 tips, what's the 5 best things to know, what's the 5 things you never do. This is how you communicate information to younger people, as opposed to a 30-page report. Gen Ys will not read a 10-page report or a 30-page report or a research analysis on this property. It just won't happen. So you better keep it short and simple. So these are my 10 keys for my customers about how to sell to you. Number one, how you buy, meaning my customer, who may be just like me, a baby boomer in their 50s or 40s, or Gen Xers in their late 30s, how they buy, how I read, how I decide, makes no difference. It doesn't matter, because the Gen Y target reads and absorbs information differently. First-time buyers in Vietnam will get their information from Facebook and YouTube clips. 2 to 3 minute clips. Again, not a 30-minute tour of a property and showing how wonderful it is. They'll never get through the end. 2 or 3 minutes at a time, that's it. Plus Facebook, so very important. Now this is unique to Vietnam. I've worked in Asia for 23 years, I've been in the real estate business for 10 years, I've never seen something like this, which is young people are totally scared like hell about buying property here. Why? Because in Vietnam it is so complicated, the legal paperwork is so difficult and complicated, and so 69% of our Gen Ys that responded to our survey, 69%, that's pretty much statistically everybody, in this age group said the number one concern they had was the legal paperwork, the legal status, how to know I'm buying something that's really mine. That's significant, and so what we advise our clients, property developers, banks, etc., hey, you have an opportunity to build trust and credibility with Gen Y if you help them understand the legal stuff. This is unique. I've never seen it in any country like this in Southeast Asia. So that's a challenge and an opportunity. And it also means that as a Gen Y, as a young person, you have a lot of fear about buying your first home. Number four, to that extent, the way that property developers and property sellers should get your attention is to educate you and give you information first and put the hard sell behind. Traditionally, my generation, it's hard sell, selling property. But if they want to get to you, don't do that. You've got to do the soft sell and emphasize education, content, information. That's what Gen Ys expect. That's what they demand. This was talked about in our previous presentations. It's a generic to Gen Ys, but one size does not fit all. Gen Ys, younger people, you in the audience, you expect everything for me, myself, and I. It's got to be for me, not for somebody else. So basically, advertising campaigns, 2 minutes, okay, have to be very, very customized as much as possible. All right. 6, advertise smartly. Reliability and trustworthiness, especially in Vietnam, is very important. People do not trust property agents and property developers. In fact, in our survey, property agents were more mistrusted than the police. Wow. Property agents really have a problem, and property developers. Emphasize what matters to the audience, not to you, the decision maker, the older person who's trying to come up with an advertising campaign. Expertise through educational information. Make it easy, make it fast. Just like this, fast, fast. Make it easy, easy to understand, and then make it easier and faster. If you make it complex, as Phil said, hard to understand, you're wasting your money, your time. Number 10, educate also. First-time buyers they've never bought real estate, they don't understand about, hey, selling real estate, how do I make an investment, how do I rent it out? So we emphasize to our customers, also educate young buyers about real estate for their lifetime. Now, 1 minute, so you didn't catch all that? You were busy on your phones, you were texting, you were taking pictures? Great. Just like we say, it's not only about information, video is very important. So, if you didn't catch it all, I'm going to make a 1 minute summary of everything I just said. 1 minute, okay? So that's exactly what we tell customers they need to do. So, thank you. As noted, our mission is to transform the way 90 million Vietnamese buy, sell, rent, and invest in property using MuaBanNhanDat.vn. So thank you very much.